weather.
It's Animal Calls. Does your dog seem like he's on doggy downers? Does your cat act less than catty? Does your horse keep saying, of course, just to agree with you instead of saying what he really wants? If so, you've come to the right place. Animal Calls takes your calls, helps you understand your pets, and helps them thrive. And now, here's our ringmaster of the Animal Crackers world, UW-certified animal behaviorist, Karpathia Kingsley.
Yay! Well, how's everybody doing this gloomy afternoon here in the Pacific Northwest? Which I don't mind gloomy. Gloomy for me is great. How are you doing where you're at, Anthony?
Oh, pretty well. It's finally cleared up here. No more smoke. Fires are mostly out and rain is on the way.
Fantastic. You guys need the rain, that's for sure. Do you want to let everybody know what our call-in numbers are?
Sure thing. You can call our call-in numbers at area code. Wait a minute. It just popped off my screen. There it is. 425-373-5527. 425-373-5527. Please give us a call or visit our website at animalcallsradio.com, where all the information is there and you can listen live, and you can also call in from there too.
Fantastic. Who's saying it's sunny over here? Sunny over where?
It's sunny in Bellevue today.
It is sunny in Bellevue. Are you kidding me? Really? Like the weather is that much different from the peninsula to to Bellevue?
It can be.
Wow, I would not have guessed that at all. I mean, you can't see any blue in the sky here whatsoever. There's mist rolling in. It's completely gloomy. There's not one speck of sunshine. At least maybe it's just over my house. You know, it's entirely possible that it's just over my house.
Could be. Sunshine has a fickle nature sometimes.
Doesn't it? Well, last week rather, I had the amazing opportunity to go to a place called Protection Island, which is a wildlife preserve, and it home to one person who's a caretaker, and lives in an off-grid, obviously, little place over there on Protection Island. And I was fortunate enough to get to go there. It is a place that most people do not get to go to, so I was very, very lucky to be able to experience that. And I had lots and lots of videos. I interviewed the amazing caretaker, Marty Bluewater. Very amazing, and the life that he gets to live, and going back and forth to this island and living on this island part-time. I had lots of videos that I took of that. There's a couple that I'm hoping we can share where he's being interviewed and talking about the wildlife and what it's like being there. One thing I'll express is on my trip over there, obviously by boat because it's an island. We went to one side of the island that is just home to a whole bunch of seals. So they're being able to protect themselves on Protection Island from orcas and predators, which primarily would be the orcas that are out in the harbor and whatnot there. So they get to hang out and live on this island in this one spot that they've chosen, which is a low area with beach. And there were so many seals. I had video of that. Seals, as far as you could see. And something that you can't grasp from a video, so I'm just going to share this with people, is the smell, the pungent, overwhelming smell that is a whole bunch of seals in one spot. Quite overwhelming. But outside of that, it was still neat to see, and the island was amazing. It's there's areas where there's cliffs that are eroding, and they're prone to just falling down, caving in, and then you'll see a huge plume of dust come up because it's an island and spots will fall. So it was amazing, beautiful, peaceful, tranquil. Something that they were mentioning is that it was unusually peaceful because the birds mostly have flown away, migrated to where they're going to go. It's a place where I think the most fascinating wildlife that can be seen in that area that we're just not used to seeing is puffins. So they actually have puffin over on that island and in that area, which I think is phenomenal. And the water was so emerald green in some spots that you could see. It was breathtaking. You would see deer that would be on the island, and I would ask the question, how do deer manage to make it to an island? And the answer is really, really interesting, that they swim. Deer have been seen swimming across the water, and this is ocean water, to arrive on this island and make it their home, where they are completely protected from any kind of predator. There are no coyote or mountain lions or anything on this island. So the deer really just have a great time. There's some wooded areas, there's lots of open field. Most of it is. As we were driving through in a van that is parked over there and left over there, we passed right off to our side of a vehicle, a baby deer, very, very young baby deer. So that was amazing to see the wildlife on an island where no predators exist. There's also no mice and there are no rats. And being somebody who has a farm and knows mice and rats always being an issue, wow, I think it'd be cool to have a farm on an island and not have those kinds of problems of obviously you would have eagles as predators, but that's it. That's it. That's all you got, unless you go jumping in the water and getting eaten by an orca or a shark. You're good. So on with that note, are we able to roll the 2 videos that I sent of
I
Marty?
think so. I'm going to
Awesome.
try it. So you might want to give an introduction as to who this is and what it's about.
This is Marty Bluewater, who lives part-time on the island and has this amazing, amazing cabin that he's decorating in Native Indian, Native American, and Egyptian style. So I got to see how cool this was. And things were run on batteries. Things are run on, everything. It's off grid. So it's completely off grid. And the way he decorated it is just fantastic. I love the Native American touch combined with the Egyptian stuff. Even his bathroom was completely Egyptian in style. Was fantastic.
Okay. All right, here we go.
Without further ado. Are we good?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, let's see here.
You're the
Thank you,
tech person.
technology. Thank you, technology. There we go. Here's the interview.
I'm not hearing sound.
Airplanes from Painfield and fed you hot dogs, fed you this
Do you hear it now?
dream when I bought my lot.
Yeah. Can you raise the volume?
So it was a going.
Unfortunately, no.
I'm going to be going development of an airport and a marina
Okay.
and a beach club, and there were roads all through here. Now the roads aren't here anymore; they've overgrown. But there were more cabins too. So it would have been, like any island up in the San Juans, lots of houses. Luckily, that didn't happen. There was a move to turn it into a wildlife refuge, which I supported. But a few of us wanted to be able to keep our rights to stay. And in the end, that's how it worked out. About 20 of us were able to stay. And I took a life use option. So they had to pay me the value of it when they took it over. But then I got life use to be here. So it was actually a good deal for me.
Yeah, are you the only person that has life use to be here?
Yeah, the other people didn't take the life use option for some reason. I think some were being practical, thinking, well, I'm going to be too old to be here sometime, which is be true for me. But I just decided, well, whatever that means, that's what I'm taking. There were others now that when their time was up, because they took maybe 25 years thinking that would be enough. But as we all know, time goes real quick. And they were surprised and broke some of their hearts for the people having to leave. But so no, I was the only one that took the life use thing. So now I'm the only one that can come here. So it was going to be a vacation thing. And then as I started getting more money and adding on and loving the place more, I decided I just love to retire here sometime. Not thinking that would ever really work, but it seems to be working.
That's amazing. This place is breathtaking. And I love what you've done with this cabin. It's phenomenal.
And all my friends have helped. That's the deep part about it. All my friends have helped me do it because it's crazy to build on an island. What it takes. And the winds get so bad. Yeah, I've had my windows blown out 3 times.
Oh.
Well, these are super strong ones now. These will probably outlast me, which is the good news and the bad news.
How do you get by with the seal population down there? We saw so many on the way coming up here.
Well, the seals just kind of do their own thing. They live on the beach and they're doing just fine. So they're here all year long. They don't leave, but they seem to be doing fine, and they just beach themselves at night on the beach and just do their thing. They have a little paradise here themselves, because except for the occasional killer whale, they have no enemy or anything.
How often do you see orcas?
Well, at least a few times a year. They'll come by. This year they were around quite a bit. The whale watchers will come out, so there was a lot down in Discovery Bay this year, and they seem to be pretty active this year.
We had some in Port Angeles before too.
Yeah, so they were everywhere. Right.
Lots of orca activity this year. Any
So
idea why that might be?
No.
Food?
But the weather was so good that maybe people just saw more because more people were out.
That's possible too.
But the tour operators, that just took a path last year with the COVID thing. This year there was so much and such nice weather, so many sightings that it was good for them. They all made out pretty good.
Well, good for them.
Yeah.
I wish they would get the coho running again.
Yeah, that's a problem with some of the bird life here. I mean, it is some long-term effects with the fish populations going down, and that's affecting the orcas too. So I don't know the answer there, if there is an answer.
So when did they decide to make this into Protection Island, and where did they get the name other than it's a sanctuary?
Well, it was always Protection Island. Captain Vancouver actually named it. He
Really?
stopped here with his crew, and he thought it protected the bay there, and so he named it Protection Island.
Oh,
But
okay.
him and his people anchored out there and spent the day on the island, and he talked about how beautiful it was. Apparently back then there's a bunch of wildflowers all over, and he said it reminded him of the gardens of Europe.
Oh, nice.
And, with the meadows and stuff out there. But because of the elevations here, you see all the weather all the way around, and you're always conscious you're on an island. So it makes it real special that way, how much you're able to see from one spot.
Absolutely.
And then, of course, with all the birds, which is unusual, there is no other island like that.
Well, this is a beautiful, peaceful place, and I'm glad that the animals have this as a sanctuary.
And then I love the winter too. When the birds are gone, then it's just dead quiet. It'll be stormy, and so when it's all warm and nice in here, it's just a great feeling when the cabin's kind of shaking with 60-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh boy.
It's a fun thing. Makes it kind of feel alive and to walk around out in it a little bit.
You've been out here when there's been snow?
Oh yeah, when it snows here, it's real unusual, real rare, but it's just absolutely beautiful when it snows. It's like another planet.
Where do the deer take shelter?
Well, there's our woods over here. We'll go to some of that when we leave here in a little bit. There's more woods here than you think, but they could just live in the grass too. They'll make little nests in the higher grass.
That's nice.
So they seem to be doing just fine.
Am I seeing a cruise ship out there?
Probably is.
I think there's a big boat going by. Well, this is absolutely lovely and incredibly peaceful. And
Now, did you walk out on the end out there?
I have not.
Because it's not a cliff here, so you can go out there and maybe get a little footage.
I definitely will. Well, I thank you for letting me interview you. I'll be airing this, and just what a gorgeous place, and what an amazing opportunity to view so much wildlife in such a peaceful, undisturbed environment.
It is unique. It's a very unique place.
Well, thank you so
Very
much
magic.
for sharing it with us today, and for allowing me to be here.
Always glad to help out. Thank you.
We have another video where he starts talking about seagulls, which, that's going to be part of your life if you're living on an island. The seagull population. Do we have the 7-minute?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Yeah, I came back and caught that again because he had some really interesting things to say about the seagulls that they, the ones that he observes mate for life. And I think that that's really interesting to hear about interactions that you would see with seagulls and the seagull population by living amongst them as intimately as he gets to. And man, what would I do to trade places with this guy and be able to live that life? I would love it.
We got the second video ready here, so stand by.
All right. We getting there?
I'm getting there. Just a second. It just technology on the fly sometimes doesn't fly well.
Clearly not. You know, I'm not a very big fan of technology.
Okay. Is it visible? There it is.
I can see it. We'll let her roll.
Well,
you gotta hit the volume's not up. There you go.
There it goes.
Area normally.
Let's start from the beginning.
Start that over. Tell me about the seagulls.
Okay, these particular seagulls, glaucous gulls, they're monogamous, so they keep the same mate, and they'll come back to the same nest area normally. And they'll all come back almost one day every year, though. There's none here, and then in February or March, they'll all just kind of all show up from wherever they came from. You'll see them just kind of in 2x2s everywhere. It's kind of romantic looking as they make in their little areas. But last year, or a couple of years ago, a few made homes right in front of my house where there's some toys and some totem poles that they could hang out on. Where there used to be lots of different birds would hang out there. These two pairs decided to each adopt one half of my front yard. So rather than a little tiny nest area of maybe 10 feet diameter, they have this whole big section out there, and then come and chase the other birds around. If a bird landed out there, they'd chase them off. So one, it kept my deck cleaner. And two, it was just kind of fun to see these two just in there, kind of have their own little estate.
That's so neat.
Funny thing.
That's neat. Well, I love seagulls. I wouldn't mind studying their behavior. I know one thing that I had learned is, you know, the little red dot that they'll have at the bottom of their beaks?
Yeah.
That is to entice their babies to peck at it, which triggers a regurgitation reflex to get them to feed the babies.
That's how they ask to feed.
Right. So a lot of people don't know that when they see the little red dot on the bottom of a seagull's bill, they're wondering, you know, what is that for? But yeah, it's a to trigger that mechanism to make them regurgitate to feed the babies, so the babies peck at it.
Right. I mean, even the adults are used to kind of pecking if they want something. One time I was here and all my friends left, and I was building stuff, and that's one of the first few times I'd ever been here by myself all night long. So it was kind of weird, you know, because you know, I'm on the island all by myself. It wasn't something I'd never done before. But in the middle of the night, when I knew I was the only one on the island, and it was kind of quiet, I hear this all of a sudden over that way. I go, well, now wait a minute, this can't be good. No one can be here.
Sasquatch.
And then I did see the gull, so the adult just was realizing I had food in here, so it was just tapping on the window, seeing if I might throw it some food or something. So I don't ever feed the seagulls anymore, because once I did, then they hang around too much. Every now and then, if I want a good photo or something, I'll throw some food out and get them all to come out, but I don't do it routinely, because the first year I lived here for a while, I just throw all the food out there, which is real handy, but then it just made them start hanging around and being a nuisance, you know.
Oh yeah.
Which I hate to do. I mean, in a way, I hate just putting great food in the garbage. I have no problem with feeding them in theory. It's just that they're just going to be a pain in the ass if I do.
I'm still fascinated that you don't have any mice and rats.
Yeah, fortunately we don't, so that's a good thing.
That's I can't even imagine that. A land without mice and rats. I have a farm. I'm used to waking up in the middle of the night thinking, man, that sounded big, whatever was just out there.
You'll actually you have to have rats running around.
Oh yeah, if you have chicken feed and you have birds and stuff like that, you tend to get.
Rats are so creepy.
They are. Well, I mean, nothing against rats. People keep them as pets and stuff, and I've actually had pet rats in the past. But ones that are outside going through your stuff, that's what's creepy.
I feel in Seattle, that's where it was my home most of my life. The first time I saw one downtown in an alley, it was just so creepy. Those things were running around.
I guess rats in the wild can be kind of creepy. Ever encountered possum?
No, but I've heard they're not very cool.
When I was a kid, I loved all kinds of wildlife, and I was the person that would be out there chasing something down, like I want to go catch it. I was that stupid. And I had a friend with me that was even more stupid than I am, and I convinced her to try to go catch a possum that was running across a vacant lot. And so I thought I would be smart. I handed her a blanket that I had in the back of my car, and I told her, go run up on it. It was nighttime, so I turned my car towards it and had the headlights on it. And I told her to go run up and throw the blanket over it and then bag it that way and bring it back. I mean, this is how stupid we were, right? And so she gets up on this thing, and it was moving away from her. They can't run super fast. And she gets close and closer and closer to it. And she goes to throw the blanket over the top of it, and it turned around and hissed at her.
Big.
I didn't know they could hiss, but
how big is a possum?
Oh, they're big. They're about the size of a cat, with a great big rat-like tail. They're whatchamacallit.
But not big as a raccoon, or maybe they could be, or
Not as big as a raccoon, but possums are whatchamacallit.
Are possums around here?
I think Washington has possums. I haven't seen any. I've seen raccoons. In fact, I saw one dead on the road. But it's
plenty of raccoons.
Yeah, possums are a marsupial. I believe they're the only marsupial that's native to North America, unless I'm incorrect in that. I'm pretty sure I'm correct on that though. So yeah, they are a marsupial. They have a pouch and they carry their babies around in it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and their tails are prehensile, so they can hang from trees and hold on to things with their tails. So one way to catch them, I learned later in life, instead of chasing up on one with a blanket with a stupid friend, people who do wildlife rescue, they'll pick them up by the tail because they'll wrap their tail around your hand. So that's something that you can do with a possum, and it isn't going to hurt it. Whereas, you don't pick up an animal, like you never pick up a rabbit by the ears. That's something I'm always having to tell people. Yeah, it's amazing you have to even tell people that. But you've seen it in cartoons enough where people are pulling a rabbit out of a hat and it's always up by the ears. You never pick a rabbit up by the ears.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. A lot of people will pick up chickens by the legs and hang them upside down. And whereas you can do that with a chicken without any negative impact, but you don't want to do that with a goose. You don't want to do that with ducks. You can actually dislocate their legs because of the weight of the bird, and you don't want to hang them upside down that way. I would imagine a turkey would be the same. But yeah, the things I like to remind people not to do, that would be on the list. But yeah, so running into possums in the wild can be upsetting to both you and the possum. But yeah, none of them out here on the island. But again, it's beautiful out here. It's so nice to be out here today.
I'm gonna get Ron back pretty quick.
Okay. Yeah, we'll
Start that over. Tell me about the seagulls.
Okay.
We're starting the video over there. So that was Protection Island. I got to be there for the day, and it was beautiful and very peaceful out there, and it was nice getting to see wildlife in an environment like that on a nature preserve. Have you ever been to someplace like that, Anthony?
No, I have not. It sounds interesting. I can't imagine a more laid-back caretaker, though, and literally he was laid back.
He was. Well, in his defense, he had injured his leg some days before. He was gathering firewood, and a log rolled over his leg and punctured parts of his leg. So even where you see his arm wrapped up with a bandage, he was laying down to elevate the leg to get off of the leg for a little bit, and the bandage wrapped around his arm was from getting, I believe, penicillin injections to manage it. Yeah, so he was a little bit laid up, but he still went out there and did the interview and showed me around the island, despite having a leg injury. So he's actually He may look pretty laid back, but he's actually pretty tough for for being out
Okay,
there despite
obviously.
that.
This would be a good time to mention the call-in numbers for those of you listening over the air or on the internet that have questions about your animals, your pets, your horse, whatever it might be. Anything about questions about animals, behavior, weirdness, oddness, funness, anything. Call us at 425-373-5527, 425-373-5527, or toll free 888-298-5569, 888-298-5569, or visit our website at animalcallsradio.com, where all the information is right on the front page.
Thank you, Anthony. So what's going on over in Northern California? Because I'm not up to speed on that. I wanted a fire update, just a quick fire update.
Well, the Dixie Fire was supposed to have been contained on the 30th. It didn't happen. They're getting very close. It's like 98% containment now. There's the Fawn Fire, which was started by that psycho lady out of Berkeley or whatever. That's still burning. They're working on containment there. A number of houses have been lost due to that.
Why did she start a fire? Why did she start a fire?
Okay, now this is where it gets weird, and I mean truly. Okay, for those of you listening, cover your ears. It gets weird. It's
we like weird.
It is. She was boiling bear urine to some kind. She's a shaman. I don't know. Anyway, but her statement was she started a fire to boil bear urine to drink.
Wait. How does one obtain bear urine? I mean, I know
that's been the question all over social media for the last several days.
So it's not just
me. I don't know how one obtains bear urine. I don't want to know how you obtain bear urine. All I know is that this psycho lady started a fire and people are paying the price. Ugh.
Bear urine. Did she ever explain what the bear urine was to be used for? I mean, is there some medicinal uses for bear urine?
I don't know, but you know what? Give me a couple of seconds here and I'll look it up.
Oh, is this something you can look up? Are you looking up why she did it, or looking up if there's medicinal uses for bear urine?
I'm looking up everything related to bear urine.
All right. The only thing I've ever heard of using animal urine for is to mark an area to
keep coyotes away and things like that.
Exactly.
Repelling dogs.
Right. You know, and there's a whole thing of that, like you use this type of urine to dissuade this type of animal from coming around. Like say cougar urine would keep, I want to say young boys, but I'm going to say coyotes. That keeps coyotes away.
Yes, a piss a day keeps the coyotes away.
Exactly. And you know what? Just for reference for people, I had a friend that I'm just going to say this, and I'm not going to say who she is, but she's a woman, and she was urinating around her farm to keep bears away. And I told her, really, when you mark something, you want to be a male, like an intact male dog has that scent that you would use for marking. If a female is urinating for marking, it's nowhere near as effective as an intact male. Just for future reference for anybody thinking of doing something like that. But bear urine being boiled, even, I'm really interested in what you would do with that.
Looking for everything here. I'm coming up an absolute total zero with what you can do with bear urine, other than to put it around the perimeter of your place to keep other animals away, because nobody wants to poke the bear, right? So I don't know what you would use it for in a shamanistic world. There doesn't seem to be any reference to it.
Maybe Google it that way. Shamanistic.
I've Googled
you put the word
every
shaman in there?
I did, and nothing comes up.
So maybe this was something that she was creating. Maybe this was her own special brew.
That's exactly what I was thinking. It's the special psycho brew from Berkeley.
Now, how did this end up with a forest fire? So why was she trying to keep the bear from talking?
I don't know.
I don't know. The whole thing is just beyond ridiculous. It just, I mean, it's not even a good Hollywood movie. I don't know. It's just bizarre. But yeah, she started a fire to bear the boil urine so she could drink it. No one knows why she wants to drink it or how she got it.
Now, was the fire started because she was boiling the bear urine, or did she boil? So was it an accident?
Well, she started a fire to boil it, and that's about all I know. Whether it was an accident, intentional, or whatever. But she's got a rap sheet, and she's got issues, and that basically is what happened there.
Oh my. That's something else. Yeah, I'm still not clear if it was arson or it was accidental while she was trying to boil bear urine.
Okay, so here's something from the New York Times that says, and the title of this article is from 2017, and it says, Santa is a psychedelic mushroom. All the news that's fit to print, apparently. So it says here that people would drink the urine of the shaman in order to experience healing and problem solving and blah, 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 blah. So apparently she was loading herself up for something else. I don't know.
I think I'm more confused after hearing that than I was before hearing that.
I don't know. It's
I still don't get the bear in this, because that said drinking the urine of the shaman.
I don't know. The only word for this whole episode is psycho. That's all I can say, and that's my opinion.
I could make a sound effect for what I think of it. It goes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Anyway, listeners out there, call us if you got questions about bear urine or your pets or anything. Call us 425-373-5527. 425-373-5527.
And what's the 800 number?
Yeah, the 800 number is 888-298-5569. 888-298-5569, or visit us at animalcallsradio.com, where all the details are right there on the front page.
Fantastic. And pretty soon we're going to be experts in bear urine. Hopefully everybody comes along with us on that journey. I want everyone to join us on that journey.
Oh, yeah, maybe we could sell tickets and have a tour, the bear urine tasting tour.
There you go. Yeah, maybe she was making some kind of mead out of it. Would it be honey flavored? I could see bear urine possibly being honey flavored. No? Not going to go there?
I have no words. I'm sorry.
I just find the whole thing remarkable. There was another person that was a professor out of somewhere that was setting fires in Northern California as well, wasn't there? So this is kind of becoming a thing.
Yeah, that was a sociologist, and I think he went to Sonoma State, and he was out actively setting fires with a purpose. This lady, she appeared to be random. I think she just was inconsiderate and not paying attention. She was off on some psychedelic mushroom trip or something with bear urine. So I think that's how that happened.
Oh, maybe that's it. Bear urine can get you high. Could that be a thing?
I don't know. I have no lifetime experience in any of this.
I would love to know, like, if somebody would call in and tell us if you've ever drank bear urine and what it does for you. I wouldn't mind trying to get a grant to research this now.
Okay, well, 425-373-5527 is the number. Anybody listening out there that has any expertise whatsoever on bear urine or shamans, or why you would want to drink it, or how do you get bear urine in the first place, 425-373-5527, or toll free 888-298-5569. 888-298-5569.
I suppose you could track the bear, and then when you catch it urinating, hopefully it would maybe make a puddle that you could collect it from. But even this is a stretch. Even this is a stretch. How do we know she was actually boiling bear urine?
Well, we just have to take her word for it, I suppose. For all I know, she might have been boiling Mogan David 2020 and thinking that it was bear urine.
You know what? Maybe bear urine is just a name that you come up with like that for a drink, kind of like wild turkey,
Right. I've had wild turkey, and I'm pretty sure it tastes nothing like bear urine.
But does it taste like wild turkey?
No, it does not taste like wild turkey. It doesn't even taste like chicken.
No. Oh, that's fantastic. Maybe it tastes like rattlesnake, because I heard that chicken tastes like rattlesnake. Somebody told me that once. Well, something else. Yeah, well, it usually is vice versa, but I think it's funnier to do it the other way around. So
Okay.
verse versa. Something else that I wanted to talk about is animals and your pets, using them, and I hear my geese yelling in the background, and using them to help reduce your own anxiety. A lot of people are having high anxiety these days and issues with depression.
I think bear urine helps that.
Does it? Is that a cure? Is that a cure for but is it a cure? Does it just manage the problems, or does it actually cure them? Because if bear urine is a cure, then I'm on board with the bear urine, and I still think it, or at least I'd like to think that it would be. Yeah, if you're gonna know, you know what? Don't drink urine. Don't drink urine. Don't drink any kind of urine. I don't think that anyone is under any circumstances supposed to drink urine. So, we don't endorse drinking urine, and I would say flat out, just don't do it. But, back to anxiety and animals, I get questions about that quite often. People with PTSD, people stress in their lives, like I think a lot of us do nowadays. And I would love to hear stories of people having animals managing that for them. Some animals seem to be more dialed in and sensitive to your feelings and emotions than others do. And whether that's breed related or the relationship that you have with the animal that makes the animal more sensitive to your feelings. I've personally noticed that herding breeds, when it comes to dogs, are generally more dialed into your feelings and your emotions, probably because we've worked with them for so many years over the years to read our body language and signaling to them, because they're across a field and having to help collect a bunch of animals, and everything is all about physical cues. And I think it's fantastic. It's amazing watching herding dogs do their job and bring in the animals. My Shetland sheepdog is really amazing at bringing in my American Eskimo, who, like a lot of American Eskimos, doesn't come when they're called and doesn't listen to you, because they are among those ancient breeds, like your Huskies and your Malamutes and your Akitas and your Pomeranians and whatnot, that tend to not really want to come when they're called. And what a lot of people don't understand with those breeds is they still possess the wolf genome, and they're called ancient breeds. So they're a little more primitive, really, in the way that they think and function. So I was going to say my American Eskimo pretty much hates everybody. The majority of people. He's not a friendly dog, and he's never been a friendly dog. For the first 2 years of his life, I showed him, and he had to tolerate being tabled and poked at and touched, and actually snapped at a judge once, who still gave him a blue ribbon because she said that she really loved his conformation. And then she reprimanded me a little bit, saying, you need to work on that, because I could have given him a strike instead of a blue ribbon. But he's what I want to see out there as far as his not his disposition, rather, but his conformation.
I think you should rename him as Mr. Bitey.
Well, I'm sure he's been given that nickname by several people. But, he tends to hate men, and I was going to go there. For it. I'm going to bring up Gabby Petito. I'm going to mention Gabby Petito for a moment. Have you seen this footage of this poor little girl crying and shaking and taking the blame for things that her boyfriend was doing and doing to her, and how she was scared, thinking she was going to get in trouble. And I think that's just awful, watching that whole thing happen. And she starts talking about having anxiety. And I so sorry for this girl. Watching this video was so heartbreaking and horrible to witness. I hate making a joke in this, but my joke would be, with her anxiety, I think she would have done better getting a nice dog instead of picking a jackass, because that certainly didn't help with her anxiety. You lock somebody out of their own car and take their phone away, and then have a problem that she's having a breakdown about not wanting to be left in the middle of nowhere while somebody drives off with her car and her phone and starts smacking at the door trying to get back in, and then someone seeing that and it turning into, well, she was slapping at him. Yeah, but you had another caller saying that they saw him whapping on her and hitting her, and that doesn't seem to be brought up really when you're watching this footage back. And I think that maybe if she knew that there was somebody that had called in and said that, she wouldn't have been so scared thinking it was her word against his. But I'm going to go back to, get a dog. Get a dog. It's much better to have a dog than a jackass, and unless it's a real donkey, because real donkeys are actually cute and they're really good at even protecting your other animals. A lot of people do use them in that capacity, but dogs often can tell if someone is a jerk, and sometimes it can be just because they have a real good sense of things, and sometimes it's because they're just really into being protective of you, and they may not like anybody. In the case of American Eskimos, I get a lot of calls in regards to that breed in particular. I get a lot of people who ask about that breed in particular, and I have a lot of experience with that breed in particular, that they can be very, very possessive of their owners and protective of their owners, particularly the males tend to be that way. And something that I like to explain is the background of a breed. With American Eskimos, it's basically the German Spitz. They gave them this cute name of American Eskimo after around World War II, because they didn't really want to promote German anything. So they were renamed that, and because it's cute. It's a cute name, and it was a good marketing ploy. But going back to them being a Spitz, when people would be in their sleds, they would have the Huskies and the Malamutes pulling the sleds, and they would have the Spitz sitting on the sled to protect the cargo. And they were a one-person dog, and they were often selected for that behavior of being a one-person dog and protecting you and protecting your stuff. So they liked that in their disposition, and a lot of that is a holdover from that time of selecting them for that. So sometimes just knowing that is enough to endear you to the breed and help you understand why they are the way that they are. Also, being an ancient breed and having that wolf genome, they like to really bond and be part of that little small pack. And if you're the pack and the other dogs are the pack, they're happy, and they really don't want anybody else encroaching on that territory. So they can be very territorial, very protective of you. And a lot of people will see that as a negative issue if that's not what you want. And if that's not what you want, I would suggest getting a herding breed or a poodle or a Labrador or something else that isn't going to necessarily have that. But if you don't mind that, then go for it. Having said that, I will say that my American Eskimo has not liked any man that I've ever been friends with or in a relationship with, and has just didn't hate him, with the exception of one. Going back when my now 15-year-old American Eskimo was a puppy, I was dating a lawyer. And isn't this...
But before we get into that story, let's give the phone numbers again for people that might want to call certified animal behaviorist Karpathia Kingsley. You can call the number. It is 425-373-5527, 425-373-5527, or toll free 888-298-5569, 888-298-5569, or visit our website at animalcallsradio.com. where all the information is right there. Call in with a question about your pet, your farm animals, anything. She has the answers.
Or I could make one up. No, I try to answer things correctly, but I can give you an answer, whether it's right or wrong. But yeah, no, it's often pretty good advice. I'd like to think. So anyway, the lawyer that I was dating was smart enough to show up when he knew I had gotten this puppy, and he wanted to ingratiate himself into this little puppy's world. So he had hot dog pieces in his pocket. And I think because of that won him over real quick to where that was the only man that my American Eskimo has ever liked, and has not tried to be aggressive towards and protective of me against, or rather being a barrier between me and somebody else, which he likes to do. If I go into my room and shut the door, he will go lay, and he's not in the room with me. He'll lay down on the other side of the door, and he won't let anybody come close to the door and touch the doorknob or anything. He's incredibly protective. But he was won over in 2 seconds by a lawyer who was smart enough, and of course the lawyer would be crafty enough to know to show up with hot dog pieces in his pocket. So having said that, often I point out that with the ancient breeds that still present with the wolf genome, that's the easiest way to manage them and to win them over is with food. People like to think that they're so complicated, because they're ornery, they can be, and a lot of times they will challenge you back. They really don't seem to know how to accept punishment a lot of times. So the best way to manage them is with positive reinforcement and conditioning, and always using food. I've found that to just be the fastest way to a husky's heart or an American Eskimo's heart is with a piece of food. So I'm throwing that out there for anybody who's trying to get one of these breeds to like someone that they're saying, I'm having a real hard time with this person not being able to come into my house because this dog doesn't like them, or going all the way back to, is it Kelly, who had the Esky that she was trying to manage to be able to rehome him, because she does that. She trains dogs and rehabilitates dogs with behavioral problems, which is fantastic, and puts the training on them. And she always has a kind of like a Caesar Milan pack of dogs, which is really cool. But she was having issues with the Esky because he would bite and snap at people. And again, I'm going back to that with food, and things that we call a high value treat, something that they wouldn't otherwise normally get, like an actual piece of meat. And if you want to keep that lower on the protein scale to manage their temper a little bit better, maybe go with chicken, or what I've seen with the wolf breeds is fish. Man, if you can get an American Eskimo, you can win them over with a can of tuna fish. Just any old can of tuna fish or sardines, something along that line. They're kind of almost like a big cat, aren't they? And they love that. And the fish oil is so good for them. That's also something I'm going to point out. Again, I'm not a veterinarian and I'm not a nutritionist, but in my personal experience working with animals, especially these breeds in particular, as my 15-year-old is having a lot of cognitive decline, I'm finding salmon oil to be really, really beneficial to be adding into his diet to help with the brain, because we know fats and omega fatty acids.
What kind of salmon oil do you use? 10W40?
Well, that's for mice. It keeps them from squeaking. You're going to throw it at me, I'm going to throw it back, Anthony.
Well, all right then.
But yeah, no, seriously, the salmon oil really does help a lot. Even just like a can of tuna fish, all these things are so good for their brain, and it's really, really helpful for brain building, and especially with dogs that are having cognitive decline. I even recommend that with people. Get your omega-3s, get your fish oils, and stick with that. It's good for you, it's good for your brain, and it's good for your nervous system, all of these things. And I'm not saying that, like I said,
a fish a day keeps dementia away.
There you go. Hey, why do we need to get like the tuna what would you call that? It's the tuna industry to jump on board with that as a motto. A fish a day keeps dementia away. I like it.
There you go. You know, I have a little dog, Japanese Chin, and he likes tuna as well, which is unusual. But he doesn't like it all the time. It's strange. Sometimes he just gobbles it up. Other times he turns his nose up at it. He's more like a cat sometimes than a dog. He's very picky.
Oh, those little Japanese chins can be like that. You know, they are little picky dogs. They're those kinds of dogs that can be very cat-like. And
Yep.
so that doesn't surprise me. Have you ever tried to see what he would do with a sardine?
No, because, well, personally, I can't stand the smell of sardines, so I never have them around.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I don't
I
have
always
them on pizzas, and if someone orders them on pizzas, I get up and leave. I'm done.
I believe that's an anchovy.
Yeah, anchovies, sardines, little stinky fish, they're all the same.
I always wanted to like sardines because my dad would eat them and he made it look like it would be so good. You know, it's like one of those things where you see like in a cartoon where someone's eating a whole fish like that and
Yeah.
it looks like it would be good, but I never could bring myself to do it because I'm
Speaking of
like, "Eh."
sardines, I have a story about Nazis and sardines. Yes, I know.
And you're telling me to watch it. Okay, what's the I'll bite. Give me the
Well,
story about Nazis
I can
and
say this
sardines.
on radio. It doesn't contain the 7 deadly words you can't say on radio. It doesn't
You
contain
can't say
any of those.
Nazi? Nazi's okay?
You can say Nazi.
Okay.
You can say Nazis as long as you're not promoting them. And certainly I'm not here. But it reminds me about sardines and Nazis. In World War II, in Norway, I believe it was, they had occupied Norway and Finland and all those places, and they set the populace out to produce things to run the Nazi war machine. Well, the story is that towards the end of the war, when the people realized that the Germans are losing, they decided to help the Germans along a little bit. And this one particular cannery was canning sardines and shipping that off to the German army, right? And so what they did was they switched the oil that they normally put in the sardines to castor oil and put that in the sardine cans and shipped it off to the Germans. Now, I don't know if you know or not, but castor oil is a powerful laxative.
Ew. Oh, jeez.
So they really got those Nazis good with the sardines and castor oil. So that's the only thing I know.
Yeah. I bet they did not see that coming. That's really gross. That's really gross. But
right, but it's courageous. They did something. They did the only thing they could.
That was all you could do. All you could do is diarrhea poison someone. That's awesome. Well, I there's things I'd like to say, but I think one of the words might be one of the 7 deadly words. So
yeah, you can't.
What a crappy situation that might have put them in, right?
Definitely.
Well, that's fun, but back to the tuna fish. So why is your little Japanese chin guy not wanting tuna fish all the time? Why is he so finicky? Why do you think he's so finicky?
I don't know. I think he just is like everybody else. He doesn't want to eat the same thing twice in a row, And so there are times when I give him something that I know is his favorite, and he turns his nose up at it and gets back on the couch. And then, I'll sit around and wait, and maybe he might eventually eat it because there's nothing better. But I do know this, that if I stay in the kitchen after I've served him something, he will then come back to the kitchen and wait to see if there's something better coming.
I think you should take him to a buffet.
Yeah, that actually might be a good business thing. You could open up a doggy buffet where people could go in and they could have a dual buffet. They could have the human buffet and the doggy buffet,
Would you need a sneeze guard for that?
For the dogs or the people?
Oh, I'm talking about the doggy buffet.
Well, yeah, I know, but for the dog line or the people line?
Oh, we have 2 lines.
Yeah, one for the dogs. You'd have to have two different buffets for the dogs and for the people, because you don't want people eating dog food, although the dog will eat people food. Is that right?
Well, yeah. I was thinking, like there could be fish, there could be turkey, there could be beef, just to kind of see what they go for. Some vegetables. That would be
Yep.
fantastic.
Yeah, and you could wash all that down with a nice tall glass of bear urine
Yes.
from our
Yes.
earlier part of the show. And that
For
crazy
your
lady
health.
that drinks bear urine.
For your health.
Yeah, there you go.
It's a cure-all. I mean, we used to have snake oil, but now we have bear urine.
Yes, it's the modern version of snake oil in the 21st century.
Fabulous. Well, I'm hearing our cutout music, so I think that's been a fun show. I hope people who are listeners enjoyed it. I hope that you tell your friends to call in next week. And remember, horse sense is what keeps horses from betting on people. We'll talk with you the same time, same station next week, and everyone have a wonderful weekend. Goodbye. Vision tlata, Jean. Do zvidania.